basically comes with. We'd asked you our question of the day a bit earlier, and I'm asking you right now, you know, would you fully depend on your partner financially? And that mentioned, we have a couple of your responses here. And Kevin Machogu Aminga, this is on Facebook. He says, establish yourself as a person. That's the paramount way to earn respect. Okay. Rita Doch says no. Lucy Katungwa says, can never be me. Pesa yangu muhimu sana. Okay. Ben Mwendwa says, how now? How can you wake up early every day to finance someone? And then Fatma Nazreen Shikanda says, no, he's my partner, not my parent. Kennedy Jumo is saying, I see women here lying. And I think he said something that, you know, mimics speaking in tongues. You know, so I don't even know what you're saying, but I hear you. Mayush Simon says, no, never. Vincent Kiprono says, no, you know, with a whole lot of O's. And Tony Nyandush says, I can't, but you see the other gender watuke urgently. How animchwa? Fear who no fear them, who don't fear them, something like that. Right, so the resounding, you know, responses here are those with no. You know, you cannot depend on someone financially. They are not your parent, like one of them mentioned. They're not someone who will just wake up and do stuff for you. Like, come on, like you have to respect yourself, as one of them says. But you said something very interesting before the break. You said this is possible when there is vulnerability, or when you really love this person and appreciate them, you would maybe do a deal or hustle to help them out. Yeah. Give us your perspective.
The truth is, and by the way, like on the ground, look at your parents, look at your grandparents. You know, like the way we came into being is because two people met in a very complicated world and they tried to figure some things out, and one of them, maybe not all cases, and I say because we come from very different backgrounds, right? But it's not uncommon to hear, by the way, now my mom was at home taking care of us, dad went to get the money, you know, and we see it all the time, you know. Maybe it was not the most healthiest of examples, you know, but the truth of the matter is when you intrinsically love somebody for who they are, right?
Yeah.
You will wake up, if they have a problem, you will go look for it. We all know what you're willing to do for even a family member who is ill. You know, that kind of love that is, it's not about what you bring to the table, it's about who you are. That can drive people to do a lot. We have monuments like the Taj Mahal were built out of love, out of somebody's outpouring of love for someone, you know. Fair. So we have evidence of that everywhere. Okay,
but let's take a look at also the homes that we grow up in. That influences a lot on how we see money, how we relate to money. You can either be scared of money in a way whereby you may have it, you may be stingy, not because you're particularly stingy, just because you have the fear that you may run out. Yeah. And that, you know, affects your dynamic with your partner. You know, maybe you're someone who's like, this is a glass broke, I'm gonna buy more glasses. You know, we don't have enough glasses even for guests and stuff like that. And your partner is like, no, we have 6, those are enough. You know, we invite 6 people at a time. Everyone will have a glass of water. You know, so knowing the spending habits of the person you're dating, or even considering having a long-term relationship, lifelong, you know, relationship with, is so important. What's your perspective on that?
I feel like financially you have to be compatible with someone, right? And when I say that, right, there are people who, generally speaking, they're immaterial. Like, material things may not mean that much to them, right? If you're a person like that who is immaterial, maybe you're a giver, and you're with a person who is a taker, like, just take, yeah, you'll get drained, you know. And it's not that there's anything wrong with being quote unquote a taker. Some people, like, they feel cherished when they receive things, gifts and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Like, know the love languages.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's this theory that love languages originate from the things that were deprived from when we were children, right? And anyway, let's get back to the main point where, like,
yeah,
in terms of...
But you see, Rick, all that is part of the conversation. And that's why it's so, the conversation most of the time is halfway toxic. It's never something that you can sit and speak about a relationship without bringing in society and dynamics out half of the time negative.
Yeah.
You know?
I completely get that. And it's if you took half the time chasing the things that you think society wants and you took that time, invest it in yourself, you would avoid so many blunders. When I say blunders, actions that you may take that may be working contrary to the things that align with who you are as a person. Forget everybody else's like point of view and opinions, and you know, because a lot of the things that you'll find people are just reacting. Like for instance, you'll find somebody who will say, yeah, me, my love language is receiving gifts, right? And it's because if you look into it, when they were children, they were never taken care of materially.
Yeah.
Right? They were neglected at that level. So that's something that's super important to them. You know, that does not speak on them as a person. That is them reacting to the kind of environment they grew up in, you know. But now when you spend time actually getting to know who you are, getting to know the things that make you tick, you'll come to realize, oh, by the way, that was me reacting to this situation. But me as a person, who I am, I value A, B, C, D, you know.
So no one should be going into a very serious relationship, anything that you'll take seriously without getting to know yourself better. You should not be having business doing anything like that.
It's impossible. It's impossible. Yeah. It's like you cannot connect to somebody if you don't even know who you are. Like, what are they going to connect to? Who are they going to connect with? Like, that person has not become self-evident. You know, you have not, quote unquote, manifested. You're not you yet. You're just a reaction of all the things that have happened to you up to this point.
Do you think in society right now we care about purpose? We care about dreams? We care about things that, like we said earlier in the conversation, set our hearts on fire? Because you see, those are avenues that will also provide you financial exposure, support, and all those things, not just the job.
Exactly, exactly. The things that you're passionate with are the things that they give you an opportunity to excel, you know. But I feel like right now, because of social media, the things that people aspire to are the things that get the most attention, not the things that give you the most intrinsic value. So you'll find a lot of people are chasing the same kind of thing, you know, in the sense of they're chasing careers that will give them prestige, you know, instead of giving them fulfillment. And you can't blame them, because if this is the time where we're seeing this kind of thing at an unprecedented level. Like, my parents didn't see that. Like, they went to school, like in terms of the interaction with getting to compare themselves with other people in the world, it was very limited. It was based on the people that they could see. And that's very like localized. So the expectations were a bit more settled. Yeah. They had more space to discover themselves. For us, like our generation, like we got smartphones like when we were teenagers. You know, all of a sudden I could see what somebody in America is doing.
Yeah.
I may be doing well. I may be coming from a good like well-off family in Kenya, but I cannot compare with the lifestyle of somebody who is in America. And I start aspiring to this because, oh, that looks nice, quote unquote. Look, it would feel nice to be in that position because look at the attention he's getting. So you find like, okay, these people, the things that they're chasing are the things that are gratifying a wound instead of feeding your soul, feeding who you are, you know. And it's sad because you end up losing out. You end up succeeding at things that you don't like.
And essentially then, how can we define the purpose of a relationship? What is the purpose at the end of the day? Because the top things, love, companionship, and now the financial. But now it's inverted.
Yeah.
It's inverted.
Yeah.
Financial, you know, what can I do? What can you do for me? Vice versa. Then maybe love, if we're lucky. And then now compatibility, we'll see.
If it works out, it works
yeah,
out.
because it's a whole inversion.
That's true. And it's kind of sad because, okay, at the most fundamental level, it's about being loved and loving someone else.
Right.
You know, because we never talk about the impact of genuinely caring for someone else. Giving usually brings out the best in most people. That's why you find people who, like, they do careers that align with who they are. They give it their all, and you'll find they will achieve a level of success that people who are not maybe aligned to that particular thing, they may not achieve the same kind of success because this is something that they're willing to give their all for, you know. And it translates also into relationships. It's about getting to a space where you can receive love, because you could be loved and not be able to receive it, and love one another. And it's like, once you get that right, all these other things kind of click naturally.
Okay. So do you believe there should be some form of mentorship when it comes to, like, almost mandatory, you know, for men and women? You said something very important before the break, which is the emptiness that comes from now living that life that you're told that you can live because you're young. You know, you have the substances, whether it's alcohol or drugs or whatever, then you have the women, you know, and you're young and you're in uni or you're white, you know, you can be able to do all these things. You don't have that parental supervision anymore. You're an adult, quote unquote. You know, you're an adult now, do what you want, you know, and it changes you inside. It harms you almost like to scathe you for that time in your life, and unfortunately maybe throughout. Yeah,
you'll carry that pain. Okay, I feel like society, we can do better to equip young people. I feel our education system is so focused on the academic merits, which by the way we are seeing like the value is diminishing because it's very commercialized, right? And we have not given young people enough time to just be. You know, when I say just be, focus on you, get to learn who you are as you're growing up, you know. And if you look at there's a study that was done talking about the happiest countries in the world, right? The Scandinavian countries. If you look at their school system, these kids have time to just be. So by the time you're coming to a specific kind of age where you have to decide your career, you have to decide what you want to do, you've had time to actually think about it, you know. As compared to a country like Kenya, like you have kids who are in school who have more stress than their parents who are paying their fees, you know, which is kind of unfortunate, right? Yeah. And this is something
but they're living like full lives by the time they're 12, 13. It's insane. Yes.
It's a bit too much, too early.
Yeah.
You know, and it breaks my heart because you find guys who they are so overwhelmed and it affects everything. Relationships suffer a lot, but that's just one aspect. That is just one aspect, and it's a manifestation of a deeper problem. We don't have the space, we don't have the time to just find out who we are, and I cannot necessarily put the blame on society. We do have challenges. Economically, we have challenges as a country. Economically, we have challenges on many different levels. And what we are is us trying to fix those problems right now. But I feel we could be more proactive.
But what's your perspective on parents or guardians who put a lot of pressure? Now that you've mentioned, you know, school kids, going children, and they have so much stress more than even the parents who are paying. And these parents depend in almost an unhealthy way on their kids to provide or do something. So you find this kid, whether they're boys or girls, devising ways that they wouldn't naturally have had if they didn't have that kind of pressure.
It's so counterproductive. It is so counterproductive. It's, you know, whether you like it or not, in farming, it takes a specific amount of time for you to put a seed into a ground, for the plant to crop up, and for you to get a harvest, right? If, regardless of how much you water that plant at whatever phase, it will take the time it will take, you know. Same thing goes to parents who have kids, like when all parents have kids, but same thing happens to in like family settings. You put so much pressure on a process that it will take the time it will take, you know, and it's so counterproductive because you'll find 9 times out of 10 this person will have to go back and be like, okay, what am I doing here? Am I doing the right thing? You find people who are in their 40s, they've built a career up to a certain point, they're like, you know what, I'm going to go back to school, I'm going to start again. You know, you've wasted so much time, and time is a resource nobody gets back, you know. And it's because, again, I'll say I completely understand where some parents are coming from. They want their kids to have a better life than they did. And they feel like this is the best way to get this out of them, you know. It's best intentions, you know. But what they say is like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. At the end of the day, you have to be very conscientious of the kind of decisions that you make with your children because the impact, it's almost generational. It will go on and on and on.
And that's what we're speaking about, you know, not that you said generational. You see, there's that pressure. Maybe take this course, you know, or get this kind of degree, major in this, minor in that, leave alone those. We're talking about parents sometimes even who push the children, like, go date that particular person, go into this line. This is what we've always done. And some of them may not even have per se financial issues. It's just that, you know, this is how we've done it, you know, in our line. And then now also that contributes to a lot of mental health issues, depression, suicide rates, and the like. And also, again, now going back to the financial situation that people are getting themselves in. Even spirituality, some people are getting into things which, you know, are driving them on different, you know, existences.
That's true.
That would not have happened, you know, if they didn't go there.
And the manifestation is very clear. Regardless of how much a specific generation may be pushing a certain agenda, people only adopt it if it works. it's not working. The wheels on that bus are coming off. People are losing it. You know, you're having guys who are having breakdowns in their 20s. You know, the mental health crisis in Kenya it's astronomical. It's something I feel like it's severely underreported. You know, it manifests in other ways like violent crime, suicide rates and stuff like that. But we're not in a good place, you know. And the truth of the matter is we have to sit down with ourselves and like have that honest conversation of, are things working? Yes, we've done this before. Yes, the church has played this role. Yes, parents have played this role. Yes, relationships have been done like this. Yes, careers have been done like this. But does it work? And it's not, you know. And the humbling truth is people are slowly falling apart, you know. And you realize that when a country starts doing poorly, like economically, when there's that stressor on this situation that was not doing so well, things fall apart. And you notice it when it comes to femicide rates. You notice when it comes to, it manifests itself in the most brutal and most vile ways, you know. Yeah. And that's something we can't ignore.
Yeah. Those are factors that, of course, look into a much deeper problem, you know. And you cannot take the politics away from, you know, societal matters. But now, since we've looked at all these factors and they're not funny, you know, most of them are very dire, let's take a look at solutions. You know, what can you, at the simplest level, do when you're looking at, I know we've mentioned it here and there, but now let's just look at positive. Positivity, the things that are considered weakness but are good. Yeah, solutions.
Solutions is such a broad term because you're dealing with different people with different perspectives in the same kind of environment. But one thing I will say that's a blanket thing that everybody would benefit from is vulnerability. The thing that we're all running away from, that thing that we are worried will be perceived as weak, that's the thing that we should all be running towards, because the first step is accepting, having that genuine conversation and realizing, by the way, we're having a problem here, right? We genuinely have an issue here. And it's about people coming together and having these conversations. Right. And it's so weird that we live in a time where connectivity is at the highest. Like social media, you can get in touch with somebody who is in Kisii right now, in America right now, like on your phone, you know. Yeah. But the quality of the conversations that we're having has severely reduced. We're not sharing. You go to even these spaces of like the clubs, even the churches, right? Because I've given you two extremes. And in those settings, people are just narrating what's happening to them in life, but they're not having those vulnerable conversations because of fear of judgment. Nobody wants to take it there. Yeah. And we have the most to gain by sharing our experiences, by talking about the things that are affecting us right now and what it's doing to our psyche, our spirit, our soul, you know. Yeah. Okay. So in simplicity, when you can find avenues of openness as opposed to looking now for the big things, that is one way of just reaching a place that is more positive in your life, and that is anyone. It will give you exactly. It applies to absolutely everyone, and I say this because intrinsically this is what it does to you. The minute you're able to like have those conversations with other people, it's much easier for you to have those conversations with yourself. Because oddly enough, you'll find people are willing to talk about these things in spaces with other people, but in those quiet spaces where they're by themselves, that's where they struggle. That's where they struggle to be honest with themselves. Yeah. Because you don't have a distraction, you don't have that noise to like, you know, you're there stuck with, oh my God, I'm really failing myself by doing this. Yeah. Oh, I really hate being in this situation. Exactly. All right, Togo, thanks so much for coming in today. That is where we wind up our conversation. Oh, I absolutely loved it. I enjoyed this a lot. No, you're welcome. Thank you for coming in. I know there's so much around this. We cannot exhaust it in 1 or 2 or 3. It's something continuous to have, because again, it's made into a very, you know, light conversation, and sometimes it sounds very meaningless and useless. Trivialized. It's super trivialized, but thank you for going into different facets around it, and also being a young person and doing it. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. You're welcome. You've been watching Morning Vibe. My name is Remmy Majala. It is, of course, Heart to Heart Wednesday. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.